Misha. You got attacked by a pit?
Hey, Roman, how are you doing?
Hi, how are you guys doing?
Good morning, everyone.
Here we are.
Yeah.
Hey, Kathy.
Good
how
morning.
are you doing? She's smiling today. Look at her.
I'm doing okay, but I have to tell you, the internet gremlins are out because we've got glitches today. So if you lose me, I'm going to come right back in again. So you guys just keep talking.
We'll be in tears.
Yeah. Okay. Let's open up this morning with what a wonderful, wonderful thing that Barkhouse was able to do. Kelly Barker, who's the founder of Barkhouse, she did miracles again. She has done so much for the Las Cruces community and all of New Mexico that it really says it all. So I put together a video that the county presented to the commissioners at their meeting, and they really got it. So I'd like to share with you the update of what really happened. It's only 5 minutes, but it does really tell the whole story. So let's do that. And if I lose you, I'm sorry, I'll come back again. Here we go.
It's worth every single moment of it.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, here we go. I'm going to play this.
Awesome.
Last four and the next. Okay, let's do this one first.
You got ours. All right, let's have some.
Thank you so much.
Oh, we got it. Is this crate ready to go, Coco?
Yeah, definitely.
They're right up here. Please, have my boy. That's my boy. All right, can you here?
What we're seeing here is the load up happening. We've got still a few crates left to go, but they're, most of which are getting onto the airplane now. And these guys are going to be going to Portland, Oregon, where they'll be meeting Oregon Dog Rescue and Fur Friends. And we're really excited to once again be working with them. So you can see everything happening. And we've got help from Doñana County ACO. We've got some really, really great things happening. We're excited about the partnership that we've got with the county, with South Arrow, who came here from Albuquerque to help us with our flight, and they'll be flying into Portland, Oregon, getting the animals there this evening. And so chief pilot today is Jake South with South Arrow, and this is his aircraft here. I'll get a good shot for everybody to see the aircraft. All right, well, this is the aircraft holding almost 70 of our animals here, getting ready to go to Oregon. They're going to be reaching Portland, Oregon by this evening at dinner time, and it's going to be going to Oregon Dog Rescue and Fur Friends there in Portland. They are getting ready to ignite the engines now and get them going, and we should have liftoff here in the next couple minutes. So we're getting ready to bid these babies goodbye, and we're going to see them off to better lives, and we're very, very excited about that. Got a team of people ready to watch liftoff, and bid these guys farewell. And everybody who's tuning in, thank you so much for your support. Thank you for everything that you gave, whether it was crates, blankets, donations. Everything that the community did to make this happen is just incredible. It was a big time community effort. Major thanks to Doña County. Major thanks to Vic and Terry Polis for contributing what they have. And here we go. Engines are starting. We're going to see the prop in the front getting ready to go. And these babies are on their way to Oregon. We are real excited.
Dozens of Las Cruces shelter pets caught a flight today to their new home. From our New Mexico Mobile Newsroom.
The mission is to humanely and lovingly save as many lives of dogs and cats.
A one-way ticket to paradise. Thanks to a Las Cruces nonprofit organization called Barkhouse, 73 pets boarded this plane to fly to Portland this morning. The organization's goal is to save the animals from getting euthanized by transporting them to cities where there is a shortage of shelter pets. Each flight is about $10,000, but the organization has saved thousands of furry friends with a mission to save even more lives.
Las Cruces, we're facing a major pet overpopulation issue, and we have, an overloaded shelter system. As a result of that, animals are being euthanized just due to lack of space. And, we just don't think that that's, something we can stand by and watch happen. So be able to transport animals to areas that have the exact opposite issue that we do, which they have high demand for animals, a number of adopters, people on waiting lists ready to adopt. It really is just a matter of being able to reach out to those places and get them there.
Just beautiful images. It's so great to see the hope in these pets' eyes as they head to their new home. And if you would like to sponsor a flight, just visit barkhouse.org.
Is that great or what?
This is awesome. I want to kind of make people aware. $10,000 sounds a lot of money. That's basically $142 a dog. And
it was actually 13,000. It was actually almost 14,000. And then there were a lot of costs that came in because Kelly actually paid for vet bills and for taking care of the dogs because they were in a confined area. Many of them got parvo, they got sick, there were things that went on. And so I think it was a little over $4,000 that she paid out of her pocket. And so it really takes a village. And the good thing about all of this, folks, is here was a situation that the county was and the city was confronted with. The shelter had COVID. And what do you do? Some people talk about it. Gee, we need to do this. We need to do that. The difference here is that the Barkhouse team did something. They took action. And that's what you need as solution providers. And that's really what's happening here. I'm very proud to be associated with the organization. They're doing fabulous work, and they're going to continue, and we'll continue to support them. So, okay. That's my bit for today. Oh, here's Mohammed. Hi, Muka. Good morning. Okay, so now we're going to be talking about the at-risk. Let me go on here now. The at-risk. Hang on a second here. I have to move this over so that I can show you guys. I'm going to share the screen. Okay, we're going to, whoops, having such a hard time with this. There we go. Okay, this is the at-risk breeds and their characteristics. And Roman, you're going to fill us in on what is the problem that we're having about the Pitbulls. For years, the Pitbulls were actually, they were warriors. They were war dogs. They were ones that we depended on. And then they got a bad rep, and I'm not really sure why. So maybe you can shed some light on that for us.
Well, I wish I had a really deep insight of what really their source is. But from my experience over the years, working with pitbull type of dogs, bully breeds in the East Coast where I used to live in the past. And New York and the tri-state area there is very intense about the pits. There are thousands of dogs killed every month. So what I recognized was that people have a misconception about those dogs. But when you see a dog who has a bully breed look, short muzzle, wide chest, it's automatically stamped as a pit bull. And then we have the media that makes that pit bull as bad dog who kills people, attacks people, kills dogs and cats, and it's something you have to be violent about, because if you're not violent to the dog, he will take over your family. And so it's ridiculous how these dogs got their reputation, which few hundred years ago, they were in homes with kids and family. It was like, that's what people had. It was kind of a dog that looks like that. Now, I know many people says, oh yeah, anti-pitbullers and pro-pitbullers. What kind of people are those people? I feel there are two categories, and I don't want to create a social problem here, but there are people who have dogs as an asset.
Mhm.
And those people and the other people who love dogs, and especially pit bulls, because they just stand up for them. So there's a schism, make it English, right? Between those who have them as an asset, which make money and prestige, and the other ones who just want to save them from being killed and love those dogs because they're just awesome dogs. And in between, there's a gray zone. Those who like to have dogs but cannot afford the bigger dog, so they choose a dog who is a little bit smaller, affordable, who loves their family, but doesn't have the appropriate breed education, and so they just do whatever they think is appropriate. And then those dogs start misbehaving, and when they start misbehaving, they're being looked like as a bad dogs in the neighborhood, and all of a sudden we're going back to square one. Pit bulls are bad. And then we have the shelters who come in and says, well, nobody wants to adopt pit bulls, so therefore we're going to kill them because those dogs are aggressive. You put them in a shelter, they shut down, they start being aggressive to their dogs, to the neighbors, and nobody wants to deal with them. And then we have a financial problem because nobody has the funds to work with those dogs. There is lack of education out there. There are unfortunately several TV shows who show pit bulls as the tough dogs that you have to have heavy hand and be the pack leader and be the alpha, and put people in a weird spin of how to treat those animals, not recognizing that they're just emotional, just a 5-year-old. And if you show aggression or dominance towards that dog, that's exactly what he will do in the future, because that's what he learned to do. If I have a problem, I deal with violence. If I have a problem, I deal with dominance. And then those dogs go downhill.
Gaetan's foaming at the mouth here because he wants to ask a question. Go ahead, Gaetan.
Okay, the conversation is about pit dog, obviously.
Pitbull.
Pitbull, sorry. Pitbull. But what is really a pit bull and what is not? What can you clarify what is really a pit bull and what is look like a pit bull but it's not? What is a definition of a pit bull, if I turn the question that way?
Well, let's first of all, there are terriers, bull terriers, and then there will be mixed with other breeds in bulldogs and other traits into that. Back in the early times, I don't exactly know the dates. Pits in that size of Staffordshire, a little bit smaller than that, were used as a kitchen appliance. They will use as a kitchen automation. They will run in wheels run the kitchen household as kind of slash electricity, right? They were easy to feed, they were small, they were put in wheels, and they would just wheel dog while running in the wheel, okay? And they will automate the kitchen, like fans.
I didn't know that.
Really,
I didn't know that.
And they were used for the rotisserie. the
Exactly.
rotating the meat over the fire.
Yeah.
There was some illustration from the 18th century and
Right.
19th century about that.
Then
But
other
anyway,
dogs,
carry on.
other dogs were used for hunting inside the smaller rodents. And then we had dogs who were working in the field, and some other dogs who were working also as bull dogs, basically pushing the bulls into the pits, pit bull. Now, then, because of the times were back then, because those dogs were very intense to work with, it became kind of a game to bet or beat on those dogs on dog fights. And then it becomes a dog fighting dogs. And then the reputation started because those dogs become so bad because everybody wanted to make money out of it, that basically there was intervention. And I think in England, they were just banned over the years.
Right. Actually, I have a picture that you had shared with us. So let's look at this. There we go. Sooner or later.
Yeah, this is a great picture showing that, those dogs who look like pits actually are not pits. If we go down to the genetics, so if you can zoom in closer, I don't know if you can do that.
I can't really.
Or
No.
go full screen maybe.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we see, for example, that an Australian cattle dog and an Eskimo dog makes a dog look like Carly at that point. He looks like a pit, right? So the characteristics are strange. Or Lucas, for example, who is a boxer bull mastiff. Oh yeah, he looks like a pit, definitely, right?
Right.
And then you have Jasmine, for example. She's an American Staffordshire, Rottweiler, and Catahoula dog. Well, definitely he looks like a pit, right? They would be killed by now, so far. And then you have Ellie Mae. She's an American Staffordshire. But that's the only one who's a Staffordshire, but he's not a pit. So there's a misconception of people, what is perceived. But my point here is, what does it make a difference what breed he is? Why would we have that distinction between pits and not pits? Back in time, we had the Rottweilers. Back then, we had the German Shepherds. You had a German Shepherd, you were a bad person kind of thing. So it seems like the public needs a dog to blame for things. And it seems like somebody wants to make money out of dogs, and there are some easy money makers.
Right. Yeah,
Okay.
see, that's what I don't understand, because when I was growing up, and I just, like I said, I remember that they had that the pit bull was actually a dog that was very protective and was good in war, and so all of a sudden it's like now they're attacking people. That's not true, is it? I mean, I don't get where all that comes from. Maybe it's just me.
Yeah. So there is a social media attempt from pro pits and con pit people, and the pit bulls are stamped as vicious and aggressive, and everybody who sees a dog attack the first attempt, I must be a pit bull, right? Because it looks like one. The social media doesn't even understand the difference between a bull mastiff, a pit bull, and a terrier, and they just stamp everything pit bull, whatever they don't know the breed about, or they were not clear what the breed was. If it's a mixed breed, it's a pit bull because that's what people want to read. You wouldn't not read a dog attack about a Chihuahua. Okay, sorry, Chihuahua. Okay. Because it doesn't sell well. Well, it's a pit. Of course, people will click on it because they want to see blood all over the place. So it's kind of like that mindset is totally wrong. We have to look away from that idea. We have to really conscious, especially in shelters and rescues, to clearly do a DNA test. It's really inexpensive nowadays to do a DNA test, and they're pretty accurate. At least you are in a direction that is correctly. Is it a terrier? Is it a herding dog? Is it because terrier is a breed group, or what is it? So people can help that dog, help doing proper nutritional, breed-specific nutrition and breed-specific exercise and breed-specific training to help those dogs getting adopted. What do people want from a dog when they adopt a dog? They want A nice dog who is nice with the family, is a little bit obedient, doesn't need to be perfect, okay? He doesn't attack people. So what the dog needs is education. So if we invest in education, then, and you people who get dogs out of the shelters and find them homes, those dogs will stay in that home because they have education. It's never too late to have education on a dog.
Right.
But it's very easy to push the trigger.
Yeah, right.
And I think it's ridiculous to import dogs from China and Africa and Middle East and Far East. If our dogs are dying in our shelters because they're not looking good,
yeah,
I think
Yeah.
that's just wrong on the base.
Well, Roman, getting back to the point about with the shelters, I know myself that when I look at some of the shelters, I see that they've labeled them pitbull mix, and I think that's not a pit bull.
No,
And I think they're just they're labeling them because they may have a characteristic. So I do like that idea of having a DNA. I have no idea how much it costs, but if pit bull looking puppies or pit bull looking dogs come in, it probably is a good idea. So the chances of them getting adopted are much higher.
well, the other problem is that we have the insurance problem. Because why do people not finding homes for their dogs? Because the insurance says pitbull like dogs will not be insured. What does it mean? Just because a dog looks like we don't insure your dog? Like, for now, the insurance makes the rules and dogs being killed. So basically, from my perspective, the insurance are at fault that people don't find homes for the dog and they are forced to surrender the dogs in the shelters. Nobody else's fault because they calculate the risk. What risk? We don't have a dog biting problem. We have an educational problem.
Right. You're
So somebody has to educate those statistics and see those statistics that you have, where did you got them from? Just because the media says it's a pit bull and goes into your statistic chart doesn't mean it's a reality.
Right.
So we know genetics don't make behavior. Genetic is just a small percentage, not small, like 42%, 58% are environmental factors. Every dog can be aggressive. Every dog can fail. Every dog can bite. So the size doesn't really matter. And then we go in and says, oh, yeah, well, if we're going to control the dogs, we control the size. So everything over 35 pounds is out.
Right.
And then we have those restrictions. But you know what? Most of people have more dogs than they have children. So basically half of the population is at risk not being able to move to another place.
Yeah. So let me ask you, Roman, if somebody was looking to adopt a pit bull, what can they expect? What are the characteristics, generally speaking, of the breed?
First of all, we have to recognize that pit bulls are a very, let's call it, persistent breed. Their job and their genetics tells if you start something, you have to finish it. And then we have mixed breeds into it. For example, most of them are hunting dogs. So what a hunting dog does, he gets high arousal, and if he gets something in his field, he needs to work with it in one way or the other. So if a dog doesn't have morals and ethics, he will fail in that attempt because instead of playing with that animal, he's going to bite it. Any breed will do that. So when you go to the shelter and you want to pick up a dog, I would not just look at the dog. You need to work with a professional to do an assessment on the dog, not in the shelter, but outside of the shelter. And the reason why is, and I work a lot with pits in shelters, they get so stressed and they're so sensitive. This environment will make the dog fail in any test in the shelter. Food reactivity, arousal. He will go after the kennels because he's being triggered to do that. He's not a bad dog. He just wants to get away from it. So dogs have two options, to fight about it or to walk away from it. But he can't, he's in a kennel. So the only way out is him biting and fighting about it. So that doesn't make the dog who he is. And the dog definitely in the shelter has an injustice. And bully breeds in generally has a high sense of justice. A bulldog has a high sense of justice. A bull mastiff, a cane corso, all these dogs look like, short muzzle, brachycephalic dogs, have this high sense of personal relationship and justice. So if that dog doesn't feel justified in this place, he really, really gets upset. So those dogs will succeed in a foster home. Those dogs will succeed in a shelter that has a proper setting, meaning is dogs don't face each other in a kennel. The sound level is low. There should be regulations which are not in place right now. Austin Animal Shelter did a great job setting a new modern shelter model for dogs to live actually in dog communities, like two dogs in a kennel, for example. They have their own room with glass windows. People can go in, take the dogs out for a walk. They have their own run together. Okay, so they're socialized in the kennel, in the shelter. There are different sections of that. Dogs who are very difficult, they're specially treated with behavior teams, but most of the shelters don't have those funds. And so they have to rely on foster homes. And unfortunately, not everybody's educated. So people just watch TV or had dogs for years and now they're becoming professional. I'm going to the bathroom for multiple years. I'm not a plumber. Right? So,
what a good analogy. Yeah.
right. We have to be very clear that, to be a foster, you have to be educated and you have to follow the rules.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you are an important part of the system, of a rescue system. The shelter is an emergency station. It's not a place to stay. It's not a motel, not a hotel. It's an emergency station.
It's a warehousing place.
Right. So, and the shelters have to be aware that it costs a lot of money, and people who support the shelters will know that in average $75 a day per dog for the first 13 days is how much the shelter has to pay for it.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So what about the hang on a second here. What about the Rottweiler? They get a bad rap too. Don't they have an extra canine?
Well, these are heavy duty working dogs. A working dog that doesn't have a job, a working dog that doesn't have morals and ethics, educated, a dog who doesn't have a secure relationship will fail. It doesn't matter the breed. Well, a dog who's a working dog and is very intense about his job, he will create his job because that's what he does. His intelligence level is beyond a 5-year-old. He can recognize when things are not done accordingly to his belief system, not who placed that belief system in the dog.
Right.
So it's not about you being the alpha or dominant. You have to educate your dog with authoritative parenting style, so the dog gets educated what he's supposed to do and be rewarded for his good behavior and his good performance. But that has to start from the very beginning. You cannot just skip a week or 2 or 3 because you're going on vacation. Yeah, because you have other importance. It has to be on the first burner, not on the second or the third burner.
Right.
And if you don't do that the first 16 weeks of the dog's age, and if you don't continue education until the dog is 16 months old, it's like not getting your kid to school and then expect him to finish university without having kindergarten started yet.
Right. Right.
So the dog will fail. And some dogs will fail more likely than other dogs who just don't give a bark about things. A hunting dog, all he wants is to chase the ball. It's not a big thing to do. But a working dog who was bred thousands of years to do a specific job and you don't give him one, he's going to create one.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's a terrier, a bull terrier, if he is a Staffordshire terrier, if he's a bull bicer, whatever that is, he needs a job.
Yeah.
And just cuteness and blue eyes don't make it a great dog. You need to work on it.
I'm a blue-eyed, gray-haired, so I'm.
No, I mean.
Dogs. You're talking about.
Dogs change the eye colors over time, but they're just thinking cute when they're small, and everybody wants to play with them. But then at some point, they need to be worked out.
Right. Right.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is the word pit bull typical to the United States or North America, or is the name is used also in Europe? I look at different websites, like Wikipedia don't list a breed called pit bull. The AKC will list a breed called pit bull. Is that like American name for the breed, or is that a?
If I'm correct, the Americans have the American Pitbull Terrier.
Yeah.
I don't think UKC. I don't remember how UKC express it. There are different, kennel clubs, but you know what? They just want to make money, and they just adopt any name that makes money.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Okay. There is an American Pit Bull Terrier from the on a Wikipedia. I can share the screen with you. I think the same image. I think the same image that you showed before. Hold on a second. I'll navigate. and share that screen.
Yeah.
So that's the same image that you were showing before.
Yeah. Right.
Mhm.
So that's from Wikipedia. I found that picture on Wikipedia, and they called that the American Pitbull Terrier.
Right. Which again has a lot of characteristics of a lot of dogs: the tipped
Yeah.
ears, the round
Right.
face.
He's tall. He doesn't
the
have
full
such
face,
a
the
broad
full
shoulders.
body.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So,
it-
you know, there can be all kinds of reasons. I guess the confusion always comes in as a pit bull in general is dangerous, the stereotype. And you can't stereotype every dog that has
No.
a pit bull breed or characteristics. And I don't know how to change that. And I wish there was some way that we could work on changing it.
You know, I'm not American heritage. I'm European, and I recently moved to US. And I know, you know, Americans are very sensitive for certain matters. In Europe, we're a little bit more flexible about saying things. I will not use certain terms, but I feel we have to get over putting names on things that makes them be a certain way.
Right.
And I feel just because you're driving a truck, you're not a redneck.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
And just because you're not blonde and blue eyes, you're not of color.
Yeah.
You're a human in any way you do. You have the same blood as everybody else. And dogs are dogs, canines, no matter what breed. The breed doesn't make a dog an individual. A dog in a breed behaves like a breed in general, but each dog has a specific individuality. So we have to see that. Just because a dog belongs to a breed group doesn't mean he is exactly behaving like that. What makes a dog look like a dog is just a portion of genetics.
Right. Yeah.
So I know dogs who are definitely genetically, but they don't look like a breed, and actually they will fail a KC test because they don't
Yeah.
look alike.
Right.
Like who told me how a dog should look like?
Yeah.
Like let's look German Shepherds and let's look Boston Terriers, and let's look at pugs. Like if we look how a pug would look like in the past, how a German Shepherd looked in the past, how Staffordshire looked in the past, they don't look like now.
No.
We bred them to look like that, but basically we totally forgot about the breed traits that are more
Mhm.
important.
Yeah.
Right.
And breed information and behavior information also comes down the generations to a small amount. How the
Mhm.
dog is fearful comes down from generation as well.
Yeah.
And a
And
scared
I-
dog
Yeah.
who grew up in stress environment will show stress behaviors. We can condemn them as aggressive, but basically the dog is just stressed.
Mhm. It's like the bulldog, for instance, in the in Europe, France and England, like in the late 1700, it was a taller and longer dog than what we know today from England.
And the
The
longer
bulldog,
nose.
right? And small. I don't. I don't know the reason. I'm not a genetic specialist, but crossbreeding might be a factor there. And so anyway, your point is right. A dog breed evolve, and what we see today as a so-called breed is not necessarily what it is or what it was before and what it would be in the future. So this idea of making the breed, the sample, the archetype of the breed, I compare that to some form of racism.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
It is
And-
a racism.
Canine
then-
racism.
Yeah, and it's one notch from the same attitude that human have towards human.
Yeah.
They say, "Oh, this guy, okay, he's a black guy,
Yeah.
therefore,"
Yeah.
and it doesn't work like that.
Right.
Make no sense.
You're absolutely right. Well, that was a great show, everybody. I think we're done for today. What are we going to talk about next week? We're going to keep that a secret for now.
How you keep your smile smiling?
Yeah,
Linda?
right. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. Any last words from anyone?
Thank you for the work you're doing, and thank you for Kelly and the Barkhouse and everything they're doing.
Thank you.
Keep support is always required. So if the audience want to go to Barkhouse for the link, there would be other mission, a rescue mission, and the fund would be needed, I'm sure.
Yes, absolutely. I'll put that in the comments when the show
Yeah.
is over.
And thank you for that production. That was beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Okay, everyone. Bye.
Bye.